CarMax just sacrificed $230 of profit on every single car they sold this quarter, really just proving affordability is the absolute ultimate battlefield in auto retail right now. This is Earnings Unscripted, by the way. It is June 17th, 2026, and we are unpacking the Q1 numbers for CarMax, ticker KMX.
And Wall Street was honestly unforgiving about that sacrifice. The stock completely gapped down at the regular open right as the morning earnings call kicked off. It basically just sold off from there and closed down about 8.4%.
Which is kind of a paradox when you glance at the top line, because revenue actually grew. It came in at $8.01 billion, which is up. Actually, it is up roughly 6% year over year. But then EPS slipped to $1.31, down from $1.38. So they are moving metal, but making less on it.
Right. Because they're intentionally buying foot traffic at the expense of margins. Oh, and before I completely tear into their operations, a quick reminder that this podcast is just our personal opinion, not financial advice, so please do not trade based on our banter. But look, that revenue growth is real, but it hides a massive, totally unnatural geopolitical fluke.
Wait, the tariff bump? You mean the impending auto tariffs?
Exactly. Management openly admitted this in the release. Their retail volume got a sudden tailwind from tariff-driven demand, people panicking about foreign import prices, basically pulling their purchases forward to buy domestic used cars right now. So retail unit sales were perfectly flat year over year at 230,000 units. Flat. And that is with heavy price cuts and a geopolitical panic.
Okay, so without people panic buying to beat the tariffs, they probably would have shrunk, which makes the new CEO's strategy make a lot more sense. He is basically torching their most sacred rule. CarMax is always anchored to fixed margin targets, mandating they make exactly X amount of profit per car. He just scrapped that. They're rolling out AI algorithms to dynamically price vehicles based on local market elasticity instead.
It's yield management, like a hotel or an airline. But a used car is a heavy physical asset. You can't just you can't email a Honda Civic. They physically transfer over 2 million cars geographically every year, trying to match the right car with the right buyer.
Right, to avoid what the CEO called unproductive transfers, literally shipping a car across the country just to sit unsold on a different lot.
Which is burning cash instantly. If you look at their operating cash flow, it plummeted from nearly $300 million last Q1 down to just $17.6 million this quarter, mostly tied to logistics drag and funding auto loans to force these cars out the door. It's a highly expensive operational pivot.
Wow, $17 million. Okay, so the cost to keep this machine running is clearly accelerating while the unit margins compress. All right, let's dig into the details and look at where this is really bleeding into their balance sheet.
Yeah, the balance sheet is exactly where things get weirdly creative, because if you look at their in-house lender, CarMax Auto Finance, they actually reported a pretty solid cushion there, but it is not from better loan performance.
Oh, what kind of cushion? Because I thought CAF was their golden goose.
It usually is. So they recorded this $25.1 million benefit in their provision for loan losses, which obviously sounds great on paper. But they actually generated it by reclassifying a batch of loans as held for sale.
Oh, okay. So they basically just scooped up the debt and moved it off the main book?
Precisely. They shifted the risk profile to an off-balance sheet vehicle, which magically lets them release that reserve cash right back into the P&L. It totally props up their finance income for the quarter. But if you strip that out and look at the total allowance for loan losses, the underlying risk metric actually went up.
Okay, from what to what? Do you have that handy?
I do. It went from 2.78% of auto loans in February to 2.95% this quarter.
Wow. So the consumer credit picture is definitely getting worse out there. They are just packaging up the riskiest stuff and sliding it out of sight to preserve the bottom line.
They are finding liquidity wherever they can right now. Delinquencies are creeping up everywhere in the subprime space. Taking a paper benefit like that, it is accounting gymnastics. It masks the reality that their baseline auto loan risk is fundamentally rising. And you know they are feeling the pinch because share repurchases are totally frozen.
Wait, 0 buybacks this quarter?
Zero. Despite having, it's a $1.3 billion authorization just sitting there on the shelf. The CFO basically admitted their leverage is slightly above their targeted range right now. They're totally freezing capital return.
That is a massive departure for an auto retailer. I mean, normally they just buy back stock like clockwork. It really proves how tight the cash situation is behind the scenes, which actually connects directly to what Keith Barr, the new CEO, was saying on the call. I have the quote right here. He said, "Our core operations are not yet fast and efficient enough. Retail prices and selection must continue to improve, and our costs remain too high."
You rarely hear a corporate executive just flat out admit they are too slow and too expensive. I actually respect the honesty.
Seriously, it is refreshing, but his proposed fix is basically 100% technology-driven. And this is the part I find fascinating. To combat this whole affordability wall they hit, they are actively shifting the psychological anchor for buyers on their app. They are trying to stop showing people a terrifying $30,000 sticker price.
Because nobody can swallow that much debt at 7 or 8% interest.
Exactly. It just kills the sale instantly online. So they swapped out sticker prices for monthly payment interfaces. It is heavily integrated with new AI assistants in their digital flow. They just want to eliminate the sticker shock entirely and reduce that friction.
So we cannot actually lower the aggregate price of the car, but we can definitely hide the pain inside a neat little 72-month algorithm. That is brilliant, but also slightly terrifying for the consumer.
I know, it totally changes the reality of what you think you're paying. But they're deploying that exact same data granularity internally to stop their own cost bleeds, like literally down to the tires.
You mean the bespoke part selection tools they built?
Yes, when a used car hits their reconditioning bay today, mechanics are not just grabbing standard replacement parts from a shelf anymore. They built an AI system that scrapes their entire network inventory to dynamically find the absolute cheapest viable tire that matches that specific vehicle before it ever gets cleared for the lot.
See, now that I actually love. That is a pure engineering solution to a margin squeeze. If you're going to intentionally sacrifice $230 in gross profit up front to win a consumer, you have to systematically claw that cash back in the repair bay.
And it adds up fast over hundreds of thousands of vehicles a year.
It does, but it brings us right back to the central problem. Smart tire algorithms and off-balance sheet loan tricks are wonderful for buying time and padding the quarter. They're squeezing every last drop of efficiency out of this machine.
Right, but at what point does it stop being about cost cutting? I mean, are we actually seeing real organic market demand returning, or just a bunch of clever Band-Aids holding the volume flat?
Honestly, it is mostly Band-Aids. Because without that bizarre pull forward in demand from the tariff fears, retail volume probably goes negative this quarter. They are basically just buying time until the macro environment actually recovers.
Right. Which means they're just betting everything on this new pricing algorithm to keep the lights on while they wait. Did management give us any actual timeline on when they expect real growth?
Well, the CEO claimed they already turned the corner, but if you look at the formal guidance, it is a very slow grind. They maintained their target of $200 million in annualized SG&A savings, but that is stretching all the way out to the end of fiscal 2027.
Okay, so years away.
Exactly. And the CFO confirmed they are still expecting an overarching $200 structural reduction in gross profit per unit for the year. He basically admitted they are taking it day by day, saying, quote, rather than being anchored to a certain GPU and running the business around that, we're actually managing to the business and the demand that we see ahead of us.
So they are truly just riding the waves right now. It kind of feels like a massive ship navigating without an actual destination mapped out.
Well, they did promise us a map. They are teasing a major strategic update in late fall to finally roll out their full growth roadmap.
Yes, the classic corporate just wait until the fall presentation move.
But I mean, to be fair to them, shifting an entire culture away from strict per car profit goals toward dynamic pricing is a colossal undertaking. We probably should give them a minute to let it actually work.
Sure, just as long as the cash buffer holds out until autumn.
Always the optimist, Miro. Let us see if their new algorithm survives the summer. Thanks for hanging out with us and making sense of the noise today, everyone. See you on the next one.
Quick thing before the mics actually cut out here. If you want these earnings drops to just show up in your feed, following the podcast is the easiest way to do that. Also, this entire show is AI generated, which is really just our way of proving that you can turn heavy corporate filings into a totally normal human conversation. We would love to know what tickers you want us to cover next. So email us at earningsunscripted@datamadness.ca or grab the X link in the show notes. Have a great one.